people moving to Spain are coming here to retire and enjoy the good life that Spain gives to them. They may buy a nice house, they may have a state pension, they may have other pensions, and they may have some money invested in lump sums or within a pension itself. And they want to know how much they can withdraw from that lump sum. What is a safe level of withdrawal so that they can enjoy their life but make sure they don't run out of money before they or their partner dies. So in this video I'm going to discuss sequence risk and the 4% rule and hopefully help you answer this question. So if you're ready, let's go. My name is Gerald Turner. I'm a chartered financial planner based here in Spain. Welcome to Your Money in Spain channel. This channel is aimed at people who are coming to live in Spain or those that are already living here. If you find this information useful, please hit the subscribe button below. This video is just for information purposes only. Nothing in here can be considered to be specific financial advice. You should seek specific financial advice for any investments that you are preparing to do. You and I invest money so that it can outpace inflation. You will put your money into stocks and shares, bonds and property and accept the investment risk because you know by doing that over the long term it will outpace the inflation and the real value of your money will increase. If you were to leave the money just in the bank, inflation has been running at 10% now for the past year and interest rates really haven't kept up. And banks are offering 1, maybe 2% per annum. So you can see the real value of money on money left in the bank is going to fall in value. And oftentimes clients will ask me, well, if I invest this money, what can I expect as a return? Now, it's a difficult question because I can't tell them what it's going to return next year. I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. But over the long term, we have a good idea of what a medium risk investment portfolio, globally diversified, may return. And over the last 20 years, you could expect something like 6% per annum. When you invest money, you almost certainly suffer negative years. If we look at this chart here, which shows a UK 60% equity portfolio with 40% bonds, you can see that since the year 2000, according to portfoliocharts.com, the average return has been around 3% per annum. And as you can see, the first 3 years were negative for this type of portfolio. Now let's say you are retired and if you plot 100,000 portfolios since 2000 with withdrawals of £4,000 or 4% increasing by a rate of 3% per annum, you can see that the portfolio quickly loses value, falling to around £71,000 in 2003. The next 5 years are positive, but it never fully recovers. We then have the final financial crisis of 2008, which is a fall of 15%, and this takes a big bite out of the portfolio. Then as the withdrawals increase by 3% per annum, the portfolio is slowly dwindling down. It never fully recovers from the bad first 3 years. In reality, this person probably would need to reduce their withdrawals significantly at some point in the beginning to let the portfolio recover. By contrast, if we look at someone retiring in 2003, the green line here, they have 5 positive years. Then the financial crisis takes a bite, but the portfolio continues to maintain its value. So this person has exactly the same performance, but without the 3 poor years at the beginning. If we take account of the fund values and the amount of withdrawals, the second person is £55,000 better off than the person retiring 3 years earlier with the same fund value. Basically put, poor investment performance at the beginning of retirement when you are also withdrawing money can be devastating to the retirement fund unless you make amendments. Now, this is very much an issue today. Looking at this chart, The 60/40 US portfolio is on target to have its worst year since 1931, with a return to the 21st of October down almost 20%. Globally invested sterling and euro investors have been shielded from this by the strength of the dollar, but my clients' portfolios are still down around 7 or 8%, and if you withdraw an income of say 5% on top of this, you can see that it is now a very worrying time. This is sequence risk. It's poor performance at the beginning of retirement at a time when you're withdrawing the most money from your fund. And it's very important that you have a strategy for this, whether it's just keeping some money back in cash or whether it's just building in some flexibility to how much you can withdraw. What do you do if you're in the middle of this right now? Because markets are suffering quite badly. Well, first thing is don't panic. Don't go back into cash and think that your problems are solved, because inflation running at 10% and cash returning nothing, that really won't solve the problem. You're building in a 10% loss straight away. If you have a plan, stick with it. And if you can, reduce the level of withdrawals you're taking. If you have an advisor, please talk it over with them. Now, if you are coming up to retirement and want to know what a safe level of withdrawal is, again, this is dependent on your individual circumstances. How healthy you are, how much of a fixed income you've got, what level of your living costs are. And it really will depend on your individual circumstances as to how much you can withdraw. That said, there is something very famous in financial planning circles called the 4% rule. This was written by a guy called William Bengen back in 1992 for the Journal of Financial Planning. And in it, he said a US investor who was 50% invested in US equities, 50% in US bonds, he back tested that portfolio from back to 1926 up to 1992 and found that anybody could withdraw 4% over any period for 30 years. Now, the problem with that is that that was US based and it wasn't for international clients and not based on UK or people living in Spain. It is thought that the 4% rule won't apply for people, British people or Europeans. That said, it also doesn't take account of the charging structure. It also took no account of advisor fees, which, while not compulsory, can be very helpful going forward. It also assumes that you're going to be comfortable with having 50% of your portfolio invested in equities, and not everybody over the age of 65 probably will be. 4% rule is based on a 30-year period, and this won't work for 1 in 4 couples, because if you're age 65 and a couple today, there is a 1 in 4 chance that one of you will live to be 100. In this book, The 100-Year Life, it states that a 15-year-old today in the UK has a more than a 50% chance of living to be 103. So life expectancies are really going up quite dramatically. Another problem with the 4% rule is it takes no account of how people are living today. In Abraham Okusana's book, Beyond the 4% Rule, he describes the first decade of retirement as the go-go years, the second decade as the slow-go years, and the third decade as the no-go years. So a couple retiring at 65 will slow down their spending by 75, and by 85 will likely have reduced spending by around 30%. On this chart from JP Morgan's Guide to Retirement, you can see clearly a US household spending around $100,000 at 65 reduces this to around $77,000 by age 80. And it's only because of healthcare costs that have risen that the expenditure rises to $84,000 by 95. And this may well be different for people in Spain because of the free healthcare. And this feels a lot like my experience here in Spain. People come out here in their early 60s and come to enjoy the life. So they're always out eating, they're always playing tennis or playing golf or travelling quite a bit. But as they age, people do slow down. And so once they get into the late 70s and 80s, they are more staying at home and not spending so much money. And eventually, a lot of people will go back to the UK just to be closer to their family and to have a doctor or the NHS that speaks their language. People are individuals and circumstances are always different. So how much you can draw for one person may not be right for another person. It is always different. Working with a qualified financial planner who can regularly review your situation and help you going forward is always going to be a good idea. If you've got any queries about the issues raised in this video, please get in touch below, either through the comments, and also please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your time and all the best.